Hi, Karen, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Hello, it is fantastic to be with you and your listeners. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Thank you, Belinda.
Every week I do say I'm excited, but I am truly excited to have you on because it's something that I've just got a growing interest at the moment is LinkedIn. So tell us a little bit about you and your love of LinkedIn, really.
So I've been on LinkedIn since 2005. I was a really early adopter of LinkedIn, using LinkedIn to headhunt for people, actually. So way back when, it was a place where you could get jobs, and it was seen very much as a careers platform. It wasn't about growing business. As a recruiter, I won quite a few sales awards, and that was by reverse engineering my success by using LinkedIn, not just to search for talent, but to search for clients. So went on maternity leave, was a bit bored on maternity leave. Husband didn't, I really wanted to go back to work. Husband didn't want me to abandon our new baby. Hadn't really had those discussions pre-marriage, as you should. And not that I'm on your show to give marriage advice, but, have those discussions before you get married. Anyway, we didn't have those discussions. So I compromised, or what I thought was a compromise at the time, and just started writing LinkedIn profiles from home. And, it's just a side sort of hobby business thing, to bring in a bit of money. And here am I 14 years later, and it's amazing. I'm really lucky to pinch myself. I've done sales training with some of the biggest companies in Australia, flown around Australia twice with Telstra. And worked for them for 3 years. Some of the biggest companies in Australia. And I write LinkedIn profiles for small business and small business owners, people who want to attract customers and, and sponsorship and that sort of thing, which is what I'm here to do today. Try and, because from what I understand, motorsports are really expensive industry, isn't it? Like if you've got this as a hobby, it is expensive.
That's right. Of course, we do have a hobbyist, but they too need money to go racing.
And if you can turn your hobby into a business and you can get people to sponsor you, that's just so important. So I love what you do. I love that it's all about, looking at it from a business angle and how can you, recoup what you're spending on the sport.
Yes. And so with the profile writing, which I'm really interested in, I've always had this question around about what context do you write in? Do you write it as a third person or do you write it as I, or the first person?
Yeah. How weird does it feel when you meet somebody and they talk about themselves like they're not themselves? It just feels weird, So I think that hangover from the late 1990s of everybody talking about itself like it's not itself, my local freeway thing here, sorry, I lived in WA. What do you call them? And now I'm in New South Wales. What do you call them here? Motorways. All the car people are going to be going, I can't believe she can't even name that. But, there's a great big billboard on the side and it's about Jim Beam. And it says, Jim Beam, born in Tennessee, raised everywhere. And I think, even Jim Beam is personified as a person these days. Products are trying to give themselves that first person voice. So when you write a LinkedIn profile, you've got to use, you as in talking to the audience and I talking about yourself. Make it personal. People like the personal stuff.
Yeah. And so what's one of the first tips about getting started with LinkedIn? So as an athlete and a small business owner, is there an age requirement? I'm going to ask so many questions now that are running through my head, but should they set it up as a personal profile or a business profile? If they've got a racing team and an ABN, should they do both? Share us your wisdom, Karen.
Absolutely. So you can have a company page. So you can set it up as a business and so develop your personal profile and then go and set up a company page. But trying to get company pages to get traction on LinkedIn is like trying to push water uphill. It's like trying to drive a car without an engine in it. Nobody wants to, unless your logo is huge and really well known, people want to connect with people. They want to connect with individuals. So it's really important that you develop your personal brand. And, your episode with Leanne DeFazio, God, she's going to hate me for missing it. How'd I go? Leanne DeFazio, it was top podcast episode. And I loved where she spoke about the importance of personal branding and making sure that people know you so that they can connect with you. And and hopefully want to sponsor what you're doing and have their name on your car and that sort of thing, whether you're driving cars or whether you're doing the karting stuff. And how old do you have to be? You have to be 16. So, you can still be in your last years of high school and you can have a LinkedIn profile. And you might think, but I'm not comfortable with it. I'm more comfortable with maybe TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And I know Leanne spoke in her episode with you about, pick your channel.
Yeah.
Try and be across a couple, but pick one you really love. And I think that's great advice, because you do want to pick something that you like, because otherwise you just won't keep it up. But what's great about LinkedIn is this is where business people are, and so they're scrolling through their newsfeed, and they might see, you on the weekend, talking about what you do, or you might run a business. It might be a full-on business. It might just be you on the weekend. But if you can talk about what you do, and you talk about maybe, the city you live in, the area you live in, stuff like that, people are thinking, wow, it's only down the road from me. Yeah, we should support that. We could get on board with that. So you want to grow that personal brand, and you want to grow your network with the right connections of people who could be your potential sponsors. So number one is always think about, what is it you want to attract?
Yep. I was just writing down.
I can keep talking. Absolutely.
I was just writing down what you're saying for the show notes. That's okay. I'll edit that out. Yeah, I guess one of the biggest pet hate or pet peeves I have on LinkedIn and any social media across the board is that when people are like, oh, hi, I want to race at the next race meeting. Can you sponsor me? Email me for more information. I'm like, and I'm sure you see those things as well during your research around this podcast today. What's your thought about that? Because again, they need to hear from the professionals other than me telling them all the time, don't write that, stop it.
Don't pitch slap. Don't pitch slap. Nobody likes, I've just connected with you, and then boom, you're being hit with a pitch slap, a pitch slap being, an instant sales message. Nobody likes it. You really want to build relationships. And so, you can initiate a connection, and don't say, I want to connect with you, so I hope you can be my sponsor. I'd like to connect with you. We live in the same area, we're both in the Hawkesbury, or we're both wherever we are. I can see you're a business here. I hope we can connect here, and then like their posts, comment on their posts if that business is creating content, if they're putting out anything. And think about, once they accept your invitation, think about sending people a voice note. And you can send a voice note only to people you're connected to. And in a voice message, you can actually pitch in a voice message in a way that doesn't sound like a pitch, but you've got to do it like a sandwich. So what I mean by that is leaving a 1-minute voice note on LinkedIn. And I'll talk through how to do that in case everybody's sort of going, God, what's she talking about? I'm still setting up my profile. I don't even know what a voice note is. So I'll talk about that in a second. But so you never want to pitch in writing, because we're just so sick of written messages. I mean, how many more, Belinda, how many more emails are we getting these days? I reckon everybody during the last couple of years has gone and set up an e-newsletter. And good on them, but every day I'm getting more and more email newsletters that I did not subscribe to. I get so many text messages that I didn't ask for. We're just so sick of written messages being bombarded.
No.
But what we are missing in a society is personalization, and we're missing voices. You're just not talking to as many people as you used to, years ago. Many of us are still working from home or whatever, and you just don't have that interaction. So leaving a voice note for somebody is a really nice way of kind of asking for a sponsorship, but doing it really subtly. And you want to do it subtly by having a sandwich. So start with a warm thank you and make it about them, and end with a warm thank you and make it about them. And in the middle section, you mention something about what you do, So that might look like, when you do your message, you take a deep breath in and you speak on the out breath. And that sounds really weird for me to say that. Like, here I am giving speaking tips, but but the last thing a listener wants to hear is you going, because that just sounds creepy and weird. No data impressions here. You want to do, so you do a deep breath in, you click on the record button. I'll talk about that in a sec, and you say, "Hi, Belinda. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I look really thrilled to be connected to you. I can see you're a local business in my area. It looks like you're doing great things. Now, I don't know if you got a chance to have a look at my profile, but you can see, I'm all about racing cars, and we race down the local track in Smith Street. If you're ever able to stop by, it'd be great to sort of show you what we're doing." If that's ever if that's motorsports, if that's everything that interests you, let us know. But just wanted to reach out and just thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's really great to be connected.
Beautiful.
Did that feel like a pitch? Did it?
No,
you know what I mean? And you actually want to stumble on your words a little bit. Like, if it sounds too polished, you're going to sound like a salesperson. So, if you're like umming and ahhing, awesome. That's great. You do not want to sound like a polished salesperson. So how do you leave a voice note? So you can only do it on your mobile phone. Once you've connected to somebody, so you see that they've accepted your invitation to connect, you just search up their name. You click on message, and then in the bottom right-hand corner, you've got a tiny little microphone. You press on that microphone, and it's going to show up a blue dot. You press that blue dot, and it starts recording. Now, if you swipe the dot to the left or the right, it's going to delete your message. So, if you suddenly have a coughing fit, or, the dog charges in or something, you just delete your message, and it will say to you, do you want to listen to this message before sending it? So you can listen to it. So I think that's a really great way to ask people for sponsorship. But you can only do that the first time somebody accepts your invitation to connect, and you want to go gentle, and you want to do the sandwich, and then maybe send them a podcast. A podcast like this. I noticed you liked a couple of my posts, or I noticed you commented on my post. I hope we can connect here. And then you leave that voice note, and then a couple of months later, you've made a note in your diary, you're circling back, and you say, I don't know, I got a feeling you might be into motorsports or something. Look, there's this really great podcast, and I think you'd really enjoy this episode, especially at around 10 minutes. Here's a copy of the Linda podcast, and you send that link to people, and they go, wow, they were thinking of me. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's right. And that's why I always encourage the athletes as well to come onto the podcast to share their story. And they're like, I've got no story to share, but I get it. It is because it's part of establishing your brand. It's giving you PR, and it's also getting a story out there once, and it's something that you can repurpose on all social media platforms.
Repurpose. So thinking about, but you don't just want to have, your podcast. Oh, this is a podcast episode I was on. It can be somebody else's podcast. I thought this might interest you. So making it all about the other person, and your messages are always about the other. Thinking about giving, and it'll just come back.
And so, Karen, is there a special way, technique, formula, algorithm for people seeking sponsors now with LinkedIn? I know before there used to be a third-party tool that you could utilize to help find contact names of potential sponsors and so forth. But is there anything new in the LinkedIn world of being able to find potential sponsors?
Well, I would just search for businesses. So third-party apps are illegal on LinkedIn, and can result in your profile being shut down. So I know some people will use them because they feel that they're great time efficiency hacks, and they'll just say, I'm just going to keep using it until I'm caught, and then I'll say I'm really sorry, but it's not something I'd recommend. So I think in terms of finding sponsorships, it's just like everything in life. It's about building relationships. So, use the search function. So when you look at LinkedIn and you've got LinkedIn open, the top left-hand corner, you've got a search bar. So have a look in there for, if you live in the Riverina or something, you're racing cars in the Riverina, on the weekends, have a search for Riverina and then search companies, and then search location. The search filters on LinkedIn free. You don't need to pay premium. You certainly don't need to buy third-party app. You've got amazing search filters. So search for businesses that are in your local area, and invite them along. Do you want to come along and have a look? That's
networking.
Build those relationships. People do business with people, so try and get them involved.
So just going back onto that, people doing business with people, big theory. High fan of that. So we're talking about their profile. We spoke about having it in the first person. What kind of content and things should we include in that profile?
So when you say content in the profile, I think you mean the wording of the profile. Is that right?
Yes.
So not content as in posting. Yeah.
No. Yeah, in the summary.
Yeah. So it's really important to talk about yourself like yourself. It's really important to show your passion for what you do. If this is a hobbyist, but you want to make money out of it. So you happen to be an accountant Monday to Friday, but Friday you're finishing early and you're down by the track, say, if this is not your full-time business, then talk about both. I've heard some LinkedIn trainers say, you can only talk about one thing on LinkedIn. You absolutely can't. You don't want to talk about everything. If you start talking about, all sorts of different topics, people are going to go, what's this person on about? But, don't be down the track. Don't have something happen, whether it's good or bad. You might have some bad stuff happen. You might lose a race and go, geez, I lost a race and, I didn't get placed and this is why, and this is what I did wrong. Share that on LinkedIn. People love stuff that they can, don't you reckon? They love stuff that they can learn. So it's talking about sort of content creation. On your profile, you want to fill it all out. So talk about all your experiences. If you're doing volunteer work at a track or something like that, don't put it in your volunteer section because nobody ever reads your volunteer section. And I don't think your volunteer section ranks very high in the algorithm. When I talk about the algorithm, there's a lot of different algorithms on LinkedIn. So I'm talking about your relevancy ranking. So what I mean by relevancy ranking is when somebody's searching for somebody or a specific skill. So say somebody does want to sponsor, somebody is in motorsports, they will search for specific words. And I think that if you've got words hidden in your experience section, I think that can actually mean that you're lower down on that list in the search. So I think you want to have them in your, I know you want to have them in your experience section. You want to make sure you've got your skills complete and you want to have your headline, which is the bit that sits underneath your name. You've got 220 characters there. So think about what's my core objective. If this is your business, you really want to talk about what it is you do and what you like about it. Again, I think it's a big plus to sort of talk about, you're the expert. I'd love to know what you think. I think it's a big plus to talk about the area you're in or where you race, because people, they're attached to locations, aren't they? Don't you think? So talk about sort of your interest, and you've got 220 characters there. So make sure it's a really keyword rich area. Your headline being the bit that sits underneath your name, and the default is that it's just your position title. So if you haven't changed that, you're missing a massive branding opportunity. You also want to make sure that you've optimized your background banner. It's a fantastic place to talk about motorsports because it's 100% visual. It's prime real estate, and it sits right behind your photos. So you can change that to a picture that you've taken. You beside your car or your cart or whatever you've got going on. And you can put some branding in that, and if you've got a company and a logo name, you can put all of that.
That I've got.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a really important bit to optimize.
And can you go through the new video profile features? I love that.
Yeah, so the new profile video. Yeah, I think this is also a really great feature. So on your mobile phone only, you can't do it on desktop. Just click on your photo when you're in the mobile phone app. So click on me, as in you, bring up your profile, and then click on your photo, and you'll have a little plus button there. And that's where you can record a 29-second video. LinkedIn will tell you that you can record 30 seconds, but if you go 1 second over 29, it just won't load, and that's so annoying. So, so set your timer, 29 seconds. So you got 29 seconds to record a video where you talk about what you do, and you might even want to show it, so have something in the background that you can talk to or you can point to. And I think that's a really great place to really connect with people, because people do connect with people. People want to sponsor people that they feel are going to give them a lot of kudos and really going to highlight their business. They might be the local mechanic, and so that's completely aligned with their values, to sponsor you because they want people to see you out in the racetrack. They might be, the local architect firm, but, they're like, oh, I wish I could do that. That's really interesting.
That's
And maybe something in their own marketing talks about speed or something, just sort of, you're trying to sort of look for all of that sort of stuff.
That's right. We always try and promote people to look outside of motorsports, because obviously there's only so much sponsorship within those directly involved with motorsports. But again, they're basically selling that emotion and that passion. And like I say to all the drivers, it's like what you're doing is what most people would love to be doing. So yes, you need to share the wins as well as the losses, so people understand that it's not all fun and games, that there's down times and bad times as well, for their social media content. When it does come to LinkedIn content, is there any tips or strategies of what you should post or shouldn't post? Or a video, again, is it more video over text, hashtags, yes or no? Anything like that regarding the social media?
I just want to go back a little bit. I just love what you said there. People dream about what you do. Like they do. They do. Every second person on the planet is probably wanting to do what you do. Like they do, we all went and saw Top Gun a little while ago, a few weeks ago. Seriously, my husband's so misty-eyed. It's like, oh, I always wanted to be a jet fighter pilot. He's like,
1 million other guys.
Things, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
no, I do.
you want to be, the Top Gun of motorsports. You want to show them what it's like. And also, I've been saying for years, don't worry too much about photos, with your text-only post. Text-only post will always get you really great reach. So just focus on text. Make sure you've got a bit of white space, have a line, space, another line, space, another line. Don't have a great big wall of text.
Yeah.
Make sure it's about 5 lines long. Try and have a couple of questions in there. And by a couple of questions, again, I'm all for that sandwich idea. Start with a question. So what is it that people are wondering? Have you ever had a bad day? Geez, I have. So today I lost a race, tell a story. So that first question is a question that something that your audience, the other person, would be wondering. And that's what you write last, is that question. A question at the end as well is also really good in a piece of content. And a question at the end just makes it easier to comment. Tell me, have you ever had a bad day? When was the last time you had a win? When did things not go? So have a question where you just, even if you feel like you're just talking into the air for a while because nobody's commenting on your posts, it just makes it easier to comment. But for ages, I've been saying, don't worry too much about pictures. But you know what, Belinda? Pictures are doing really well right now, especially when they're selfies. So get yourself a picture of yourself, because people want to see behind the brands. They don't have to be airbrushed. So if you have got a really big, they really don't. People think, I don't have the budget for professional shots. And you might be running a big, schlick business. You might have a massive, raceway, and you're listening to this. And you're thinking, oh, we've got all this professional footage. It's great. Use it. But people actually like the behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Type stuff. So, yeah. So I think those are doing really well. Videos are doing well. But videos, they were doing really well, but they've actually been taking a bit of a dip recently. And I'm still seeing quite a lot of long videos on LinkedIn. So you really want to try and keep them quite short. I reckon still images with at least 5 lines of text, one of them being a question, what do you think? Encouraging it is really important. Hashtags are, everybody's saying everybody, a couple of people who play pretty big on LinkedIn are saying that hashtags are going to become increasingly important. But other people have also said that, content does really well even when it doesn't have a hashtag. So, and there's some big players out there on LinkedIn who don't use hashtags. So if you are using a hashtag, you want to try and just put hashtag and the word you're thinking of, motorsport or whatever, your business name, put it into the search bar at the top, and you want to try and have ideally 3 to 5 hashtags, ideally, that have quite large followings, because there is this theory that content is categorized by hashtags. But of everything you've got to think about, if you're listening to this podcast going, well, it's way too much to think about, of all of the stuff on your list, hashtags are, it seems at the moment, still the least important.
Relevant.
Yeah. Oh, we're also getting something new's coming out soon. Oh, what's it called? It's going to be a really great feature. We don't know when it's coming out, but LinkedIn have formally announced it. And it's going to be, the word of it's escaping me, but it's going to be where you can take little tiny clips of videos and you can take photos and you can theme them all to music. And you can do it all on LinkedIn. So all the editing. So and it's done. Yeah. So Canva, this design tool, where you can design and make pictures look pretty, and LinkedIn have actually gone in partnership together, and you can create these really cool videos. It hasn't been released yet, but that's going to be really amazing for your audience, because you can take a whole load of different still images, change the order of them. And I think they're like 20 seconds long, and they look like a looping video.
Awesome.
They're going to be really cool. And the reason why I think they're important is because when they do drop, when this new feature does come out, every time we get a new feature, your views are huge.
Yeah.
So when we got document posts, which were like slider posts, they were huge. When we got videos first came out, they were absolutely huge. When we first got articles and newsletters, they were artificially boosted by LinkedIn. So you'd get huge number of views. So keep an eye out for that feature when it launches.
Perfect runway into my next question is regarding the newsletter. So you mentioned before about everyone's emails being bombarded and text messages being sent. They do have that feature around newsletters. You've got nearly 16 or over 16,000 members in your newsletter. Can you talk us through that feature? Is it free? How does it work?
So a newsletter is where you can produce an article on LinkedIn, but you can have people subscribe to it. Now that's not to say that you can collect email addresses. You can't. You can have a newsletter without having creator mode, but you have to apply to it. So creator mode is where you are producing content on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn will say, do you want to switch on creator mode? If you switch on creator mode, you will start getting more followers at a quicker rate, and you will get lots of really cool little functions, including LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn audio events are rapidly rolling out to content creators, and you'll get the newsletter feature and a whole lot of better analytics and all sorts of other stuff. So creator mode seems really great. The downside of it is that when people look at your profile, they don't see a connect button, they see a follow button. So your ability to build genuine two-way relationships is suddenly stopped in the water. So I should have said stopped in the tracks, shouldn't I? Stopped in the tracks. That's what I should have said. Yeah. So it suddenly stopped in the tracks. So if you do set creator mode, you need to have a habit of looking at who's followed you and sending them invites to connect if they're relevant to you. Like if, they could potentially be sponsors, or they might know somebody who might know somebody.
Sponsor everyone you talk to.
Everybody you could, but they're more likely to be a sponsor if they're in the same country as you and that sort of stuff. If there's some sort of random on the, maybe, So just sort of thinking about that sort of stuff. So newsletter, it's just where you can write a really long article and it goes out to everybody who is your subscriber.
So that would be beneficial for athletes to keep their sponsors up to date as well, like online. And can the sponsors repost that?
They can repost that just by collecting the article link.
Mhm.
So that's what's really, really great. So they can collect the article link, write their own post above it, and it can go out to all of their network, and you'll get the subscribers. So it is what I also really like about newsletters compared to receiving emails is I know there's this thing, oh, but you don't own it and you're building a house on rented land because it's LinkedIn and you don't own those email addresses. LinkedIn is not going anywhere. It is increasingly giving more and more stuff, free stuff to people because it wants people on platform, because it wants to boost its advert revenue. So it wants people to be on LinkedIn. So it's not going to die overnight. We've got 840 million people around the world are on LinkedIn. We've got 12 million here in Australia. I mean, that's like 90% of our workforce. It's here in Australia alone. So, I mean, it's absolutely massive. It's not going anywhere. And what I like about it compared to email is, one, it feels fun. I get an email, I instantly think it's work, which is fine. I love what I do, but it's work related, which is the good side. It's something to do with the kids. I get so many emails from my children's school. So I'm like, oh, it's a chore. Or it's an invoice,
Yeah.
like a bill coming
Yeah.
in or something, a reminder to do something, or it's spam, So when we see emails, we don't feel excited about them. When we open social media, you can't help yourself but get a slight endorphin rush. You just can't help yourself. So it's a different emotion when you're on LinkedIn. And what I
Yeah.
also love about the newsletters on LinkedIn is it's two-way communication. So when you see somebody has produced something, you can comment on it and say, Belinda, I really liked what you said there. That was really interesting about keeping me informed about the latest changes about what's happening in the industry. And you can comment on it. And you, Belinda, can come back and go, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Email, old school, top down, let me talk at you, not with you.
Yep.
Like, I think newsletters are the way to go on LinkedIn. Another feature that's very new is, have you noticed the repost button?
No, not yet.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
it's not very easy to see. Like this LinkedIn feature just completely flew under the radar. And yeah, so where it is when you just scroll through your news feed and you find a piece of content on there that you like, that's from somebody you like, and it's on brand with what you typically talk about. So think about, maybe I'm an accountant Monday to Friday, but I, race cars on the weekend. So, I want to put out content about about racing and that sort of stuff. So you find something that's on brand, you click on share.
Yeah.
And you might not have this new feature yet. It's still in rollout. And can you see the word repost? You click on repost, not share with thoughts, not that one. You click on repost. And what it does is it automatically posts that that piece of content, out to a select number of people in your network, but it gifts the original. So it gives to the original author all of the views. So they get all of the impressions, they get all of the views. So repost is a really great way of letting people know what is happening in the industry without you having to think, oh God, what am I going to write about that? You can just repost it, So I saw today a guy called Andy had reposted something that was by Richard. And all I saw was Andy's name come up saying Andy has reposted this. So I just didn't really think. I just saw Andy's name first. So I thought the piece of content was by Andy. And I'm like, wow, this is so impressive. And I'm like in the comments going, oh, this is so great. I didn't know all of this. I just click publish. And then I just glanced up and I realized, oh, it's actually by Richard. So Andy aligned himself with
Yep.
Richard, which was really good for his brand. You know what I mean? So think about doing that as well.
And that's where the feature section comes in under that course creator, the creator mode.
So repost is if you look through your news feed, so your feed on LinkedIn, nothing to do with your own profile, nothing to do with content creator or featured. The repost is a share without thoughts.
Okay. check that out. Well, Karen, thank you for all that information today. Yeah, I've taken lots of notes, so I'll put them all into the show notes and make a PDF for everybody. So don't stress around all Karen's tips. But do you have any last suggestions around about how they can shine on LinkedIn?
I do think the most important bit is the headline that we spoke about, the bit that sits underneath your name. You've got 220 characters there. Make sure that you do talk about what it is you're interested about. Go into Emojipedia, Emojipedia being a website where you can get little emojis from, and take a picture of a race car or some flags or something. Put them in there. Like, don't just do boring pipes. Nobody wants words. They want to see pictures. And talking about pictures, have a background banner. That bit beside you. I know we've already spoken about it, but the bit that sits behind your profile photo, one chance to make a good first impression. You really want people to look at your profile and to remember you. So it's great to do the profile video. It's great to do all that stuff, but just get the basics right. Just have a great headline. Make sure you've got a couple of emojis in it. They don't have to be winky faces like mine. And make sure you've got a background banner that talks to what it is you do. Like, don't have a background banner that talks about the beach. Have a background banner that talks about your motorsports. Like, you really want to be talking about it. If you want to attract sponsorship, what is it they say? Your content tells, your profile sells. So make sure that your profile is selling you and selling your business, because it's an expensive sport, and there are people out there. There are lots of people out there who want to do what you do. They want to live through you. So give them a chance to do that.
Yeah, and just my tip is, with those profile banners, don't wear your helmet. If people want to see who you are.
I should have said that. Yeah, don't wear your helmet. You want to have your helmet under your arm. Yeah. Like, how cool. I'm just going to go back to Top Gun Maverick. How cool does Tom Cruise look? He's all of like 60 and he's carrying his helmet, and he just looks cool. You can be, not just you can be, you are that person.
That's right.
Yeah. Take your helmet off.
Oh, well, thank you again, Karen, for all those insights. They're fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your services and how people can follow you and get in touch if they're needing their profile written up.
Absolutely. Now, I do have that confusing thing, creator mode, set on my profile, which means that when you have a look at my profile, Karen Tisdell, that's Tisdell, Tisdell, not Tisdale, Tisdell. So have a look at my profile. You can hit the connect button. I do have a profile writing service and a whole lot of stuff, but just don't worry about that. I've got tons of free stuff. I have so much free stuff. So reach out, connect with me. I will leave you a voice note back once I accept your invitation to connect, and I'll say, do you have any LinkedIn questions? Would you like any LinkedIn resources? And you need to say, yes, I want free stuff. And I will go, this is how you set up the profile. This is what you need. I've got so much free stuff. I create content to answer questions. So reach out and connect with me. I'd really love that. I'd love to see people, getting more sponsorship and, letting their, making more money in their business. We need the sport to thrive. We really do.
And hence why I do what I do.
What you do. It's great to share the tips. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I hope it's been helpful to everybody. If you're feeling a bit confused, reach out. Let me know.
Yeah, so as Karen said, connect with her on LinkedIn. I'll put her link in the show notes today. But yeah, let's go and see if the proof is in the pudding. Connect with her and see how that sandwich is made, and get some ideas. And as Karen mentioned, she's got loads of free resources that she can also post up. In the show notes, Karen mentioned around the emoji feature, and I saw that you recently did a blog around that. So I'm going to see if I can, it's on the features page or something.
It is on my featured page. Good pick. I was thinking about mentioning it earlier, and I thought, I don't want to be too self-promotional. But yeah, you can have a look at my featured section. So it's easier to look on desktop than it is on mobile. But if you can look on mobile, you can look at the feature and you just scroll along. It's the third one along. And I've just got a whole stack of emojis, because sometimes you don't know what it is you want until you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you might go, oh, I don't just want to have all cars. Maybe I want to have a little black dot or something. So I've just got a whole load of emojis, and you can just copy and paste that. So that article's a few years old. I think I've clocked about 75,000 views on that article. So.
Wow.
I know, which is really good. And we're coming up to World Emoji Day, soon. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
pushing it out. So I'll probably get another 25,000, I reckon. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Karen, for your time today. Everyone, please go ahead and connect with Karen. And thank you again. We'll have
Thank
you
you.
on next
It's great to be with you.
Yes, and please reach out anytime there's any updates with LinkedIn. We'd love to have you back on so we can all keep abreast on how to best improve our profile and get sponsors.
Fantastic. Thank you. Cheers, Belinda.
Bye.